Okay, so this is going to be an introduction video to all the different variations of the single leg box squats. Basic idea behind this is you get all the benefits of doing regular box squats, but you don't have to deal with the big external load, which can be a big limiter for a lot of people, especially if you're really strong already. So here it's entirely limited by what's happening at the knee and the hip, and sometimes the ankle, depending on the variation, and you don't have to worry about the lower back. As you can see from the fact my lower back is all over the place during this stuff. So the interesting thing with this is whether your leg's out in front of you or behind you also lets you just adjust the angles a little bit, because that just shifts your centre of mass around slightly. And we can see here that actually you don't need a great deal of external load to significantly slow down the movement. And so in a minute I'll do a set with 40 kilos, and actually that's pretty hard work. That's pretty close to being strength work, and it's definitely strength speed work. This suits sets of 3 to 5 really well, and you can develop that ability to really sort of develop force off the box kind of with no eccentric at all. You just lean forward and then it's all concentric effort, which is really, really nice. And it's a very sort of powerful feeling you get when you try it. And you often find that you're very potentiated then for like athletic exercises. And it's a nice rule of thumb. Stuff that potentiates you well for athletic stuff is also things which build those athletic qualities. So if you find after doing a set of an exercise, you can jump really well, usually that means that exercise will improve your jumping long term too. What we've got here, I've just got a block under my foot, which just adjusts the height of the bench, so I'm pretty much exactly at parallel where the sticking point is. And these ones here, I'm really slamming my foot down into the ground to get a big impulse, which is really nice. You can just direct huge impulses through the quads, through the hips. And it's a bit like that sort of shock method, plyometrics or stimulus. But you can be super precise about adjusting the angles it all happens at, which is really nice. So you can make it happen at all the angles you do your acceleration work in, all that kind of thing. And this set here, these two sets are both landing on the forefoot, so you can try and work some ankle stiffness through this. First variations with a deliberately elevated heel. This variation's with a floating heel, just to reinforce pushing through that stiff ankle. Next up, we've got a banded variation. Really simple, band around the neck and then stand in it. Don't need a whole load of load with this. You can use it for speed work, you can use it for strength work. It fits all these really nicely. Yeah, compared to putting bands on a barbell, this is the simplest setup in the world. And yeah, depending on how strong you are, you can either load it by holding something, or you can put a bar on your back if you need to. But generally, you don't need a lot of this. It's not super sort of metabolically fatiguing, so you can do sort of typical dynamic effort work. You can do 12 sets of 2, 10 sets of 3, whatever you like with it, and you're just producing really high quality reps. You're not worrying about panting and being out of breath the whole time, and you definitely can get good strength stimuli out of it too, by holding on to some weights. And obviously all the stuff about where the load is positioned applied, anterior versus posterior load, will determine little sort of details about the stimulus. So this is going to a high box. This is like a quarter squat, and the idea is we've got some nice joint angles in here which are more specific to upright running, and in general we're just learning to produce force quickly in this part of the range of motion, which is really useful. And I've hit my all-time vertical jump PRs straight after doing these, like a couple of minutes later. So I'm sure that's indicative of this really good ability to build the vertical jump through doing this stuff. Here we're doing an impulse variation of the same thing, so slamming the foot down, trying to transfer force through the quad, through the hip really fast. And we'll also see the same variation with the impulse, but on the toe again in a minute. Same idea, just trying to pass force really quickly through those parts of the body. So we're transmitting force and we're generating force at the same time, which is obviously really relevant, really useful for all sorts of athletic stuff. And you can see I'm really sort of fighting to build some ankle stability. And you can see there's little tremors as I hit the ground. Here we've got, this is just a really sort of standard variation I use in rehab a lot of the time. So if somebody's sort of knee ankle complex, sort of is just really struggling to produce force well and to work together with those co-contractions, we can just get him to control down onto the box, control back up with that floating heel, and it just teaches that whole system to work together really well, which is a really useful stimulus to have. And it's a really nice way back into things which require co-contractions.